2023 officially comes to an end tonight. As of recording, it is New Year's Eve. And with that said, since the year is ending, it's time for part 3 of the series, ranking my top 10 favourite movies of this year. And let's get started with the final part of this list. Kicking off the list at number 10, ironically, Fast and Furious 10, otherwise known as Fast X. This movie was just stupid fun to the max. Just when you think the Fast and Furious franchise can't go any bigger, better is a bit questionable, but bigger, definitely. This was just 2 hours of fun, in my opinion. I had no expectations for this movie. I thought it was going to suck. Now look, admittedly, after 7, I thought they should have ended it. 8 was terrible, in my opinion. Hobbs and Shaw did not need to happen under the Fast and Furious banner. 9 was questionably terrible, but this kind of revamped it, and considering it's a cliffhanger number, I can't wait for part 2. Honestly, this is definitely one of the stronger Fast and Furious movies. It might be in my top 5 Fast and Furious movies. That's why it comes in at number 10 this year. 9. Tuju Ti Membercard. It ranks above all the other Bollywood movies I've seen this year. Therefore, it is my favourite Bollywood movie this year. This was just, again, like Fast and Furious 10, fun to the max. In comparison to all the other Bollywood movies I've seen, now, granted, I've only seen 6 this year. In comparison to the other 5, this was just, songs were great. The main 2 actors, I want to see them on screen again. Also, this is a rom-com. Again, soft spot for rom-coms. This might be one of my favourite Bollywood movies ever. Not just of 2023, not just off the Bollywood movies this year, but of all time. This might be in my top 10 list favourites of all time. If you want to see a Bollywood list, do let me know. However, this is now my favourite Bollywood movie of 2023, and it is number 9. Number 8. The final Netflix movie on this list, I do believe, since I've seen the rest in cinemas going forward, Extraction 2, a Chris Hemsworth-led sequel to Extraction of the same name. Now, admittedly, when this sequel was announced, I had no hopes for this because I used to think that maybe this is a prequel to the first one. Because, spoilers, in Extraction 1, at the end, Hemsworth dies. Now, when I saw the trailer, I thought, okay, fine, I'll give this movie a chance, on the solemn reason that maybe he didn't die. Maybe it's a prequel. However, I was proven wrong. He did die. Well, he didn't die. He was just badly wounded. I thought that was stupid, but then I saw the movie and it all just changed my mind. The set pieces were amazing. The action was amazing. The explosions were over the top. This movie is just a great 2.5 hour ride, and I do highly recommend it, which is why it's number 8. Number 7, and you know if you've seen the shorts video that I did a couple days ago, my favourite rom-com of 2023, Anyone But You. Now this movie, admittedly, I didn't want to go see this. However, after watching an absolute trash stinker of a movie, Donkey, that Bollywood movie that's been on my list at the very bottom, I made it my life's mission not to have that movie be the last one I saw in 2023. So I rewatched the trailer for this. And admittedly, I just said, this is going to be the last movie I see in 2023 because I want to leave it on a good note. So this movie had a lot of expectations to live up to. Lo and behold, it did. And I will openly admit, this might be one of my favourite rom-coms of all time, which is why it ranks so high on this list. Look, it's above Fast X and Extraction, action blockbusters. However, it's my list. It's going to be controversial. You knew this from the start. Hence why it's number 7 this year. Another high-end action blockbuster, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Part 1. Now look, I love the Mission Impossible franchise. I'll admit, between 2, 3, and 4, maybe it got dragged down a bit, but 1, 5, 6, and 7, in my mind, are all classics. Now, the reason it's not cracked its way into the top 5 is because it's a Part 1, and I do believe there's a lot left to be desired. However, I hope Part 2 both ends the story, closes out all character arcs, I know part 2 has a lot of potential to live up to, that's why I hope it's going to be good. Part 1 comes in at 6, not because it's a terrible movie and it can't crop top 5, but because top 5 are my favourites and I don't think anything's going to touch my top 5. This one barely missed the cut, but this is still a phenomenal movie. One of the best this year. Go and watch it if you love action thrillers, and it's number 6. Kicking off the top 5, yet another movie I've done a shorts to, so if you've seen that, this will make a lot of sense. Aquaman 2, or Aquaman the Lost Kingdom, or Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, however you may choose to pronounce it. Now this movie, why is it at number 5? Is it controversial? Go look at the shorts video, all of that is explained in there. If you want a perfect end, well, perfect is a bit questionable. If you want an end to a DCEU that you've been building up on for 10 years, in my opinion, there's no better way to do it. This movie was really great, and admittedly, it may be better than the first. A rare instance where I think a sequel is better than its predecessor. Jason Momoa, always on his A-game. Patrick Wilson really surprised me as a bad guy turned good guy as Orm. Look, Amber Heard's in the movie, but refer to the shorts. And also the other characters like Black Manta being a villain, he's also pretty great. I wish we could have got a sequel. I wish we could have got an Orm spin-off. I would have loved it all. However, if this is how the DCEU is going to end, farewell on a very high note. Number 4, what I like to call fan service the movie. Super Mario Brothers the movie. If you love video games, this is for you. If you love Mario, this is for you. If you love Mario and Luigi, this is for you. Look, if you're an 80s kid and you grew up with Mario, you're going to love this movie. However, if you grew up around Nintendo, you're going to love it. There are so many elements of this movie that people love. The music, the high stakes, the way everyone is animated. Chris Pratt being Mario, I'll admit, I was questioning it, but he fits very well. I love how the cast bounce off each other. Look, I know it's an animated movie, so you can't really see the actors behind them, but you could tell by the voices. I really think this movie did a good job. And also, there is a sequel in the works. I have high expectations. I hope it lives up to it. And this movie, for the year, is number 4. My second favourite animated movie, because we're getting to my other favourite very, very soon. Taking the bronze medal this year at number 3, Creed 3. The ending to the Creed franchise, and also to the whole Rocky franchise as it looks like. Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors showed out big time for this movie. Look, if you want a perfect ending, just go watch this movie. Now, the reason it's not within the top 2 or even first is because I do think this is the weakest Creed movie out of the entire trilogy. That's not to say it's a bad movie. I still love this. And it just wraps up the story perfectly, bringing back old characters, introducing new characters, acting on character arcs, putting in character development. It's a perfect ending to a perfect trilogy and an admitted favourite franchise. Oh, and also I'm a little biased because this came out on my birthday. 3rd of March 2023, best birthday gift ever. What a way to turn 20. Our runner-up for this year, and probably the most fun I've ever had in an animated movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now look, this movie will always hold a special place in my heart. When I returned to YouTube, this was the first shorts video that I created that, especially to me, gained a lot of attention very fast. Now, in hindsight, if you watch this movie on the day and you go back, it's not that many views. However, at the time, I'd never seen any of my content go up that fast. I didn't understand why people like my content, but hey ho, here we are reviewing a list. Now, this movie was just fan service at its best. Look, I said Super Mario Brothers was fan service. This is peak fan service. And everyone in this movie had a shining moment, especially Miles. It's his story. Spider-Gwen also taking a bit more of a central role was great. And Spider-Man 2099 as a villain? I didn't think it would work. It did. Color me surprised, but I'm happy I was wrong. And why is this not number 1? I hear you ask. It's because it ended on a cliffhanger. This is part one. I can't wait for part two. However, the reason it's number two is because it didn't end. And number one had a perfect ending to a perfect trilogy. I think you know where I'm going with this. Because number one is right there. And number one is number one for me, the best movie of 2023 I have seen all year round. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is how you end a trilogy. Take notes, everyone. When you have 9 years worth of characters to work through, this is how you do it. A damn near perfect movie, flawless in action and execution. The planning was great, the execution was better. The music callbacks, the character callbacks, the references, the fact that this was filmed in IMAX and literally shown in cinemas for that quality is great. The battles, the final fight, the villain arc, surprisingly, was also great. That's why it comes in at number one. It's one of my favourite MCU movies of the year. It's definitely my favourite movie of the year. Going forward, it's one of my favourite superhero movies of all time. This is how you do a trilogy correctly. And this is how you close out a trilogy of videos. Closing out part 3, Guardians 3 closes it out for me. I hope you had fun with this list. If you need to, go back and watch part 1 and 2. This is the ending of this list. Hope you enjoyed the trilogy of ranking all my favourite movies in 2023. And we're ending it with Guardians.